We are live. And I forgot to cue everything. So pretend that you're not seeing me and let me cue everything that I usually cue. Hold on just a second. And I forgot to cue everything. Well, that was funny. Well, it was funny to me anyway. Usually I have my little screen all ready to go, and I was humming music inside of my head, and the time to go live came, and all of a sudden I looked at my face, and I'm thinking, what on earth am I doing there? I'm supposed to be, not looking at myself. I'm supposed to be looking at this. And there I was. So what do you know? Sometimes I get my intros right. Sometimes I don't get them right. But I thought it was really funny. At least it was funny to me. I hope you guys were amused. If you weren't, then I'll definitely try to amuse you one way or another during today's broadcast. Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, June 27, and this is Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together to find out what's going on in the world, near and far, how it affects our lives here in Puerto Vallarta. If you are new to these broadcasts, feel free to type the word new in your comment, and we'll be so happy to welcome you aboard. If you are regular, it's always great to see you. It's always great to see what kind of comments and questions you're going to bring forth, so that we can have a good time together. And today is going to be one of those days in which we have all kinds of important news, and we have some follow-up on some things that we talked about yesterday, including that stunning performance that Mexican conductor Alondra de la Parra delivered with the Frankfurt Radio Symphony yesterday, her performance of Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring. I'm still hearing it in my ears, in my head, and I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to attempt to explain to you why it might just move you a little bit, just a little bit, if you give yourself some 25 minutes today to enjoy it, if you didn't enjoy it yesterday. So anyhow, let me take a quick look at your good mornings. I see a lot of fun good mornings. The man behind the curtain. I know. You totally caught me off guard. Well, I caught myself off guard. What can I say? But I'm having fun, and I hope you're having fun. I hope you planned all kinds of wonderful things for today, Saturday, staying home, maybe going out a little bit, maybe exploring. I don't know. I see that Mark McMillan has been enjoying the broadcast. Thank you very much, Mark. I'm so very happy that you've enjoyed what we do here, and hopefully you will continue to find some use and inspiration for the topics that we cover, which are always a combination of topics that have to do with important news and some leisurely stuff, but always thinking in mind or keeping in mind those of us that live here year-round, or those of us that consider ourselves locals. Lots of resources out there for tourists, but those of us that are locals and happen to speak English, we are our own little group. And speaking of our own little group, I want to tell you that yesterday I had lunch with some dear friends at La Mara restaurant here in Colonia Versalles. La Mara makes spectacular aguachiles and ceviches, and yesterday's experience was just wonderful. The restaurant opens at noon, and we took advantage of the fact that a lot of Mexicans, we tend to have lunch a little later in the afternoon. We got there at 12:15, and we pretty much had the restaurant to ourselves for the first 45 minutes to an hour, which was absolutely delightful. They had their fans on, and the windows were open, so there was plenty of ventilation. We ordered great choices of of ceviches. And then, of course, once people started arriving, they started seating other people, safe distancing, of course, and they turned the air conditioning on when it started to feel a little warmer. So it was a wonderful experience. And I hope you folks give yourselves the opportunity to get to know this restaurant at some point. Of course, La Mara is one of the restaurants that is spearheading this new movement to promote eating local at Versalles through the new Facebook page that they have, which is called La Versalles. We've talked a little bit about this. I asked the waiter whether there were some plans at this point to do more than just branding. And he said, yes, they're going to be doing all kinds of events later on, but for the time being, they just want to raise awareness of the wonderful diversity of restaurants and culinary experiences you can enjoy in Versalles. Let me take a quick look. I saw a question go by at the corner of my eyes. I don't understand when the facts show that we are the worst state ever and beaches and hotels open. It's insane. Mimi, I don't understand it either. But again, we've talked about this time and time again. What is important to understand here is what we are doing to take personal responsibility for our well-being. And in that regard, Mimi, I hope you're taking very good care of yourself. And that is the part that is to be understood. I need to go to Valle de Guadalupe before I move. I'm not moving anywhere. Maybe that's a conversation that I'm in the middle of. Sorry about that. But I don't think I could go to Valle de Guadalupe sometime soon. I have this skill. I make wine disappear. And if I went to Valle de Guadalupe, something tells me that a lot of wine would go missing. Anyhow, let us take a quick look at some of the news before we move on to other fun stuff. We start by looking at the national colors, the stoplight that is delivered by the Secretary of Health nationwide, and we see that we're starting a new week with 18 states in the orange, 14 states in the red. Nayarit continues to be in the red, so the beaches in Nayarit are not going to be reopening for another week. I noticed that yesterday somebody asked a question, or maybe it was the day before, and yes, we cannot go to the beach in Nayarit. We can go to the beach in Puerto Vallarta as long as we keep safe distance guidelines in place. Cinépolis, we announced yesterday that there are plans to reopen movie theaters and sports centers in Puerto Vallarta starting tomorrow. This plan continues to move forward despite some reservations from the Guadalajara University, the scientists. What's happening here is the governor of our state has decided to align these reopenings with federal guidelines, whereas the scientist team at University of Guadalajara was hoping that these would not be reopened for another week or so. Of course, movie theaters and theaters can only operate at 25% of their capacity, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this situation and whether it creates negative repercussions moving forward. We had a chance to announce that some of the local bars are starting to reopen as well, and I took a quick look at some of the early photographs that were published on Facebook this morning about bars reopening last night, and it looked festive. The question is, do we want to go or not? And again, we had a poll to that effect yesterday, and some of you felt maybe not quite yet. Again, this is all a personal choice at this point. As I mentioned just a second ago, Guadalajara University is reluctant to see that all these spaces continue to reopen, and they will try to persuade the governor today to not reopen these things the movie theaters and the theaters on Monday. However, the governor has already made an announcement, so it is difficult to see whether there will be any change in the guidelines that have been put forth by Governor Alfaro. To make things matter worse, at the Rio Quale, now it is the all-terrain vehicles that have invaded the rivera of the river. Let us just hope that this is not a new activity that is planned for the river. In any event, the rains are around the corner, so it is very unlikely that they're going to be able to do this even if they wanted to. This is sad news, at least it's sad for me. If you remember La Isla, the shopping center, opened, and when they opened, they had these beautiful outdoor fish tanks with fish and turtles. And of course, we've come to find out that the fish and turtles were completely forgotten by the shopping center when the pandemic set forth and when everything closed down. And now we find that all the fish and turtles were abandoned, have not been fed, and they are sick, and the waters are in really, really bad condition at La Isla. This is unfortunate. Hopefully La Isla will do something about it, but it is sad. It is sad when these things happen. I mean, humans neglecting animals in any way, shape, or form is not something to be excited about. Yet another cougher. I hope this is not going to become a trend in the United States or anywhere in the world, but this other woman, whose her first name apparently is Karen, was found intentionally coughing in the face of a cancer patient, mother of 10, who was capturing her belligerent demeanor at a store in the United States. And it is all on video, and let us just hope that this woman is found and is made to understand what a horrible idea that is and what a horrible thing to do that is. I have no words for stuff like that. On the other hand, it's nice to report that another woman, a person, nothing against women, please, a person tried to shame this barista at a Starbucks because he wouldn't serve her because she was not wearing a face mask, and she put up his photograph on social media saying, well, this guy didn't want to serve my coffee because I was not wearing a face mask, and it backfired on her. What ended up happening is people empathized with the barista, who managed to raised $32,000 for him. And that's what the news item says. Isn't that amazing? So for every loony out there, there are people doing wonderful things, and it's all good. I mean, hopefully things balance one way or another in our universe. Let me take a quick look at your comments, because you guys are just flying. Apaches has made the tough decision to remain closed for the time being. I'm sorry to hear that, Gayoff, but I also understand that it is a difficult situation. Paul is willing to make wine disappear with me. Okay, fine. I know that Paul and I share that trait. We both make wine disappear. And I see that Karen is, oh my goodness, we must be distant brothers and sisters. There are a lot of people that can make wine disappear. Here I was thinking that I had this like amazing personal skill. Good Lord. No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there. No, I'm not going to go to there either. Good Lord. You guys, some of you are really angry. Just take a chill pill. Seriously. Just relax. Take care of your lives. Breathe. Don't try to change everybody else around you. Just take care of your personal lives. Breathe. Quite a bit of chatter this morning regarding the scene at the corner of yes, that's where I saw the photographs. This is the I don't know what you've heard, Logan. I don't know what anybody has heard, but apparently the bar owned by Javier, what's the name of it? The one that's right on the corner? I forget. But the bar was open, and by late at night it was quite crazy. It was quite rowdy. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if what was going on was within the norm or not. But let's just hope that it was within the norm. And let's just hope that if it wasn't, that people are taking steps to make reports with the authorities. Because the authorities, for better or worse, cannot be everywhere. It is entirely up to us to make that move, to report businesses that are not following the expected guidelines. More anger. You guys, there's 2 or 3 of you. I'm not going to finger point you, but you're really angry people, and I respect that. I respect that you're afraid. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Breathe. Let's see. Yes, that is unforgivable, Julie. Hopefully this will change. La 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 la. My goodness, you're really, really chatty today. Okay, let me go and move forward to the leisurely stuff because it feels like a good time to do so. And we start with the weather, of course. Carrot weather is our friend. Carrot weather tells us that it is possible for a sun flare to wipe out all electronics on Earth. Maybe I should have been nicer to the sun god. Well, it is possible for a sun flare to wipe out all electronics on Earth, and this is a snarky but friendly reminder that come the summer season, we need to be careful with our electronics. If you haven't purchased voltage regulators, please consider doing that. If you're not in the habit of unplugging things at night when you don't know that a storm is coming, that might be something you may want to start doing. Right now it's 85 degrees. It feels like 93. That's really, really warm. The temperature will climb up to 91 by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we expect our sunset to be at 8:47. In case you're going to be out and about taking beautiful sunset photographs, you may want to consider that. Partly cloudy through the day, so I don't see a lot of precipitation expected during the day, but hopefully the weather will change its mind and we will get a little bit more rain. The rain is always welcome. And now let me tell you that Alondra de la Parra, Mexican conductor, yesterday we talked about this, and I took a look at her concert, and it was just absolutely amazing. And I wish I could begin explaining to you why I think it was amazing. She conducted Mozart's Clarinet Concerto, and she did something that was a nice reading of the Mozart, but her Appalachian Spring, her Aaron Copland, was just absolutely amazing. And if you're not familiar with the piece, you'd have to start by understanding what the piece is about. And I'm going to talk about Appalachian Spring briefly. Appalachian Spring is, as I said yesterday, is a work of music commissioned by American choreographer Martha Graham. She commissioned Aaron Copland to write this music for a ballet that tells the story of a spring celebration of the American pioneers in the 19th century They've just gotten together to build a farmhouse, a new farmhouse in the hills of Pennsylvania, and the piece starts with an early morning sunrise, and there's this bride and groom that are going to get married during the day, and then there's also an elder pioneer woman, and there's a preacher and his congregation, and all these characters form part of this amazing day in the mountains. And the way Alondra de la Parra conducted the work, I mean, well, for starters, forget about Alondra de la Parra for a second. Aaron Copland who won the Pulitzer Prize for this piece of work, by the way, he managed to paint with musical instruments the perfect sunset. I swear, there is no better sunset in the musical repertoire than Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring. You know, you listen to the music, you listen to the piece, and you know you're getting close to the end, but the end takes forever. And that's not a bad thing. The end takes forever because you're just watching the sun set slowly and slowly and slowly. And towards the end of the piece, when it's nighttime and the couple has gotten married and they're getting ready to go to sleep and start their new life together, it's so serene. It is not like, for example, the ending of Beethoven's Sixth Symphony of 1808, you know, which also has a wonderful sunset, made more wonderful perhaps by the painterly imagery that we get from Walt Disney's animators in Fantasia, the movie. But the Copland, whereas the Beethoven is this grandiose, big, spectacular, blockbuster sunset, the Copland is this intimate piece of music that never loses that boutique sense of it. And I know I'm making very little sense. You really just do have to listen to this music. But of course, I mean, Copland painted the music. The conductor brings it to life, and that is precisely what Alondra de la Parra did with this performance yesterday. She was just absolutely spectacular, and she was visibly pregnant, and she must have been thinking about motherhood, when she did the work of music. So I'm going to leave you with the link of the performance, and I'm going to invite you to watch this and tell me what you think. Before I go on, let me very quickly throw in a poll, because you want polls, and I think polls are a great idea. And let me throw this on the screen just to get a reaction from you out of curiosity. Do you personally know someone who has or had COVID? Ha! I wrote COVID-10. My bad, it's COVID-19. I cannot even correct that. That's embarrassing. COVID-10. Well, I meant COVID-19, of course. Anyhow, back to headlines. As I mentioned, this was an excellent performance. And of course, this brings to mind this wonderful article that I found in the New York Times, where we get the point of view from conductors who are now unable to do most of the work. As you know, the conductors, they don't play the instruments, they make the music happen. They work with musicians to convey their musical ideas, to make the orchestra sound better, to make the ensemble sound cohesive, coherent. And this is an interesting article if you ever wonder what conductors might be going through right now, as far as being able to do what they do. This is not an easy time for anybody. Moving on, we are reminded that it was tonight, 50 years ago, that the Stonewall riots took place at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, which, for all intents and purposes, started the gay rights movement in the United States and subsequently in the rest of the world. So know that there is a 24-hour live stream Global Pride underway. It started this morning and it's going to be going on for the next 24 hours, featuring performances by all kinds of headliners from the gay community. You may want to have a look at some of the things that are going to be going on. And of course, we also have an interesting article from Yahoo, which talks a little bit about where the LGBTQ movement is at 50 years after the Stonewall riots, and of course, how things changed this year, both due to the pandemic and then to all the attention that we have been directing towards racial equality or lack of thereof after the killing of George Floyd. This is interesting readings in case you wish to pursue them. From our friends at Vox, we find out more details about outdoor dining and drinking and whether it is safe or not safe, and what can be done so that we can feel more comfortable making that transition. And you're welcome to take a look at this at your own leisure. As always, as you know, I share the show notes with you once we get done with the program. Looking at your answers quite quickly, I can see that it is pretty mixed, actually. About half of you know someone who has or had COVID-19, and about a little over half of you don't. I was just curious about that because I know people that I know several people now that have recovered from COVID-19, and I do think it's one of those things that we may want to think about, because as we mentioned a few days ago, sooner or later it's going to get close, and it's inevitable. It's going to get close to our lives whether we want it or not, and hopefully we will be well equipped to deal with it logistically, emotionally, rationally, so that we can continue to be as kind as possible. Let me take a quick look at your remarks. I hope there will be a link to this performance. If you mean the Alondra de la Parra, absolutely, Paul. I will link it to you. It was really stunning. It was really stunning. There are 4 different versions of Appalachian Spring. There's the full ballet version, but Aaron Copland very quickly turned it into a suite. But then there were conductors that said, well, we want the whole ballet, and then there were some revisions and so forth and so on. So there are some people that like one version better than the other. Alondra de la Parra performed the most economic orchestration of it. It's only like 13 or 15 musicians, and it's that economy in the palette of the orchestra that just makes it so incredibly rich and tender and intimate. And it's my world. It makes me tick. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. I don't have much more to share with you other than the fact that I'm always happy to spend time with you on my morning get-togethers with you. I'm always eager to read you. I'm always concerned when I read that a few of you are a little unhinged. I've been unhinged, or maybe not unhinged, maybe just differently hinged. Just keep something in mind, and this is just my heartfelt wish. There are things that we can change, and there are things that we cannot change. We have the choice to spend, or dare I say, waste energy trying to change things we cannot change, and that is a personal choice. Um, I've said it many times. I'm going to say it again. I hope you continue to take good care of yourself and your loved ones, and I hope you continue to be mindful of the things that come out of your fingers when you type, or the things that come out of our mouths when we speak. You know, it's so easy to, without thinking, put out there a sentiment that, while maybe quite real, it can make other people feel more threatened by what's going on. And I think it is a tough road to navigate, because on the one hand, we want a lot of people to get it and stay put and follow guidelines, but we need to find a constructive way to do that. And that's all I'm going to say today. And that's basically all I have. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow for Sunday Fun Day. Have a good one.